Shalom uvracha rabbaisai. I hope you're all well. Good to see you. Let's learn some Hilchot Muktze. Yay. So, a little practical question that came out from our discussion last week. Guests are coming over for the Friday night meal, and you accidentally left your pen on the table. And you, just before Shabbos, you're on your way to shul, you realize there was a pen in your pocket from last Muktze Shabbos. On your way to shul, you've taken your pen out, you just put it on the Shabbos table, you run off to shul Friday night. You come home and you see that your pen is still on the table. You thought someone would clear it off because you're used to people clearing up after you. But nobody cleared it off. So what should you do? There's a pen on the table. Oh, so this is what type of Muktze is the pen? Kli? It's a type of vessel that is normally used for forbidden things. Yeah? Now, is it tzorech l'makaymai? You see, we said last week that if you mamish need the place, like it's literally on a place where you want to put down the challah board, then of course you'll be able to move it because it's tzorech l'makaymai, that you need it for its place. Here you don't need it. Why do you want it off the table?
Embarrassment.
Because you're embarrassed. So do you remember what we said about that?
Yeah,
that's right.
Said that's like good and you shouldn't move it.
Very, very good. Very, very good. Rav Moshe Shmir Shabbos Kol Chosor say that if it's just ruining the ambiance of the Shabbos table, then Adarabah, you should leave it on the table. And this is covered Shabbos. You should be proud of your pen or your hammer on the table. Say covered Shabbos, and you leave it. However, Shmir Shabbos Kol Chosor does say in the footnote that b'shem hachacham echad, that if it really does bother you, to the extent you might even, ideally, not even really want to use the room, there is some room to allow. There is some room to allow for the embarrassment. Yes.
Isn't it like not even? But it isn't really covered Shabbos to have your pen on the Shabbos table while eating it.
True. But if you explain to people that the reason it's here is because I don't want to move it, l'kovet Shabbos, so then it turns into covered Shabbos to keep it. That's one way of looking at it. But yes, mums don't necessarily always look at it that way. And they may say that it should be moved. Okay, now a few more questions. It is your brother's bar mitzvah, and you've got a new suit that you specially have bought for this bar mitzvah. Your old one has a rip, and you want to wear it Friday night. You've got your other suit, and your other suit Friday night it gets mamish like a whole load of like mayonnaise, mamish like a whole, mamish like a whole load of mayonnaise on your other suit, and you've got your new suit, and you look inside your suit, you look inside your cupboard, you realize it was left in the car. You realize your suit was left in the car. Are you allowed, let's say your car was in the garage, and it wasn't locked. And let's say that there were no lights that go on and off when you open or close your car door. Let's say it's a boot. In some cars, it doesn't impact on any lights. Are you allowed to open the boot to get to your jacket? So again, we're saying there's no electrical shilas over here at all. You don't need to beep anything, switch anything. No electrical shilas, no lights going on, no alarms going on, or activated, deactivated. The car's in the garage. All you need to do is you need to open the boot and take it out. Are you allowed to open the boot? And are you allowed to close the boot? What would you say, Rabbi Say?
Yeah. Perhaps the door's Muktze.
Because you need something else. If it's in the way, so it's like so good for you. Like you need something that's allowed in trouble.
So you're saying maybe it's tzorech actually makomai, because you need the actual place of where the boot is right now to actually get into it. Maybe that's okay. I'm not going to answer it right now. What we're going to learn today, Bez Hashem, as we go through, is going to answer it. Yeah.
Can we say that if you have like a pencil on the pencil case and you need to get past it?
That's right. That's right.
Isn't there like China, so you could just move the door?
That's right. That's right. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. That would also be a tzorech makomai. Lovely. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Next one is, do you have at home a electric dryer after your clothes are washed in the washing machine? So you have a dryer, and what happens is the dryer's on for a certain amount of time, and afterwards it turns off. And then you need to get your socks. Trouble is that the dryer's closed, Shabbos has come in, and you need to get your socks. And your other socks you wore Friday night, I don't know, mayonnaise again, however, whatever it is, they got dirty, I don't know exactly how, but or it's just time to wear a new pair of socks. And you need a clean pair of socks, and they're in the dryer. Are you allowed? Again, there's no electricity being activated or deactivated. It's just mechanical. The door is just mechanical. It's like sort of goes in and then you turn it, take it out. Are you allowed to open the dryer to get to your socks?
Isn't there two problems? Because first of all, it's wet clothes before Shabbos came in, and wet clothes and
Very, very nice.
And also, at the time Shabbos came in, you couldn't get it because the electric was on.
Very, very nice. So we're mentioning quite a lot of points over here. Is there an issue if it was wet when Shabbos came in? Is there an issue if it was on when Shabbos came in? These are all important points. Is that an issue as well? Yeah, people see you taking it out. So these are all interesting points to be discussed. Yes?
One reason why I thought maybe it might be Muktze to open the door is because maybe if you consider the whole car or the drive being Muktze, maybe even if it's not on, you just by touching it, it's considered. You're not using it. You're not planning to use it, and you might come to use it. I'm saying there's like less than a 50% chance that you're gonna you already set to aside something, especially a car. I'm saying you wouldn't use it.
Right, so you're saying it's not like I'm going to actually use it in any way.
Yeah.
Right, does that make an impact? Very interesting. Very interesting. One final question for today, which I hope we'll get to. Let's say that there's a Shabbos clock, which right now the lights in this room are off. Yeah? But you know that somebody is messed up with the Shabbos clock, and the light in your bedroom is going to go on at 11 o'clock at night, and it's going to stay on the whole night. They messed up. Someone messed up. You can't get the stuff these days, yeah? So someone messed up. There's a light that's going to go on in your bedroom at 11 o'clock at night. Are you allowed to flick the switch? Right now it's off. Are you allowed to flick the switch so that it stays off? And when the Shabbos clock comes on, the light will not come on in your room after all. Isn't that an interesting question? Once the Shabbos switch is off, once the electric item is off, but it's going to be coming on, but it's off right now, can I flick the switch now whilst it's off so that it won't come on later?
It's still switching off the light.
There's like Shabbos time.
Yeah. So I'm not touching, let's say in my bedroom, the light is, the switch is turned on, but the Shabbos clock is off. So right now there's no light in my room. Soon, the Shabbos clock will turn on, and then the light will go on in my room. But can I get in there beforehand and flick the switch? The switch is right now nothing. I'm just stopping it from when the Shabbos clock turns on, I'm stopping the light from coming on in my room. Okay, so we'll discuss.
It's on to keep it on.
Right, that will also be a shaila. Okay, so far, lots of shailas and no answers. Fine. So, let us now continue. B'siyata d'shamaya. We saw last week that you are allowed to move a item which is muktze, for example, a hammer. It's muktze because you normally use it to build, to do malacha. You're allowed to move it l'tzorech gufay and makoymay. Gufay means I need the hammer. What might I need the hammer for? To do something permitted, such as?
No.
To crack a nut. To crack a nut. Okay, so I can move it l'tzorech gufay if I need it. And I can, and we said last week, what happens if you've got a nutcracker? Yeah? So some say Mishnah Berurah says you can only use it to crack open your nuts if you don't have actually a nutcracker, yeah? Others argue. And I can also move it to tzorech makayme, which is if it's in a place that is, that I need that place. But we said there's one time I can't move a hammer. Do you remember Right, yeah. I can't, if I'm only moving the hammer to protect the hammer, that's called mechama l'tzeil. It's like I'm getting it out of the sun, yeah? Or out of the rain or something like that. Mechama l'tzeil, I can't move it. So I can only move it if I need it to use it for a positive item reason on Shabbos or the space. Okay, now, what happens if it's outside in the rain and it's my favorite hammer, it's all going to get rained on, I don't need the space, and I don't actually need it, but later on in the afternoon I'm going to need it. Can I move it now if I'm only going to need it later on? You hear what I'm saying? You hear the question? Right now, I don't need my hammer. But shalashudas, we're going to have the walnuts. Oh, we're going to need the hammer. Shalashudas. Am I allowed to move it now out of the rain? If later on I will have a use for it. So the Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso says that you are allowed to, even if really your kavanah is to save it from getting damaged, but you know that you're going to be using it later, and this heta of l'tzorech gufay, I'm allowed to move l'tzorech gufay, is even if I'm intending to use it later on during the day. And that is also just like a good way, if you can find a use for it later in the day, that is okay. Okay, let's have a look now at cars. Let's have a look at box number 24 in your Hilchos Shabbos pack. So, maybe I'm going to give you a minute or so to have a look at it yourself and see if you can work out what's going on. And then we'll go through it.
What safe is it called?
Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso. Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso, written by Rav Dovid. Did I tell you last week how he ended up writing up a sefer on Hilchos Shabbos? Did I tell you? He was in the war. He was in a room for like a couple of years, stuck hiding in some attic. They couldn't even go by the window. And he was in a room for a few years. Somebody would bring them food, which is a major miracle, that someone was willing to go and do that for them. It was very risky. And he spent a few years in an attic. And one of the only Sforim he had with him was Mishnah Berurah Chelek Gimel. Now, what's Mishnah Berurah Chelek Gimel? That is his Hilchos Shabbos. That's Mishnah Berurah, yeah. That's his volume on Hilchos Shabbos. That was one of the only things he had with him in the room for a few years.
Where was this again?
I think it was in Holland.
During the war?
Yeah, during the war.
That's cool.
And so he really, whizzed up on Hilchos Shabbos. And then when it came to the time to be saved, so it was, they managed to get a boat out to save them. But it was going on Shabbos. And he felt terrible about it, but it was Pikuach Nefesh. And so he had to go on the boat. But he said, Rabbeinu Shloim, I know that this is the right thing to do, but I still feel bad that I had to do it on Shabbos. I'm going to write a sefer on Hilchos Shabbos as a kapara, and that's Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso. And like any shul, from the time that it came out, maybe that was in like the 50s or 60s, I'm not sure exactly when, for the next 20 years, that was the sefer on Hilchos Shabbos. When I was younger, that was the only sefer on Hilchos Shabbos, and it was translated into English, and people would go through it, and he had amazing zechus. Just as a side story, he had a sister who looked very Aryan. She was like, she looked quite Germanic, yeah, like blonde, blue-eyed, and without particularly Jewish features. And so they managed to get her a job working at a non-Jewish neighbor, and she would have been totally okay to survive the war there, because she was really, really, in with the chosh of a German family, and she would have been safe. They all thought she was a German. But Rav Dovid, the author of Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso, his father said, I just can't have my daughter there in this environment. She's working on Shabbos the whole time, week in, week out. These are formative years. And he made the very, very difficult decision to bring her back into the attic with them, that she should spend the rest of the war in the attic with them and not at the non-Jewish neighbors where she would be having to, work 7 days a week. And then a bomb hit. And it hit the place where she had been working, and it killed them all. So, the dedication of that family to Shabbos is just phenomenal. What a zechus! What a zechus! Okay, so in the sefer Shin Shin Kaf, which is Shmir Shabbos Kilchoso, give you another half a minute or so. Have a look, see if you can work out what's going on.
Yeah, if you've already got your suit from the car, let's say, then the car has no purpose anymore. So is there a problem with closing the door?
Seemingly there would be.
Yeah,
Yeah, unless we can think of another reason why it might be mutter, but yes.
It says it's only also if if you're just trying to protect the actual car and stuff inside it. But what does it say before that when it's supposed to close it?
Okay. Okay, should we go through it together?
Yeah.
Yeah? Anybody want to say it or? Okay, have a bash. Yeah, it's permitted to open the door of a car. Over Tanai? Over Tanai? And on condition. Tadlik Nura. On condition that when you open the door, it doesn't activate a light. Right, and also no other electrical item will be activated. For example, the azaka or the alarm. Good guess, yeah? That has the alarm, yeah? So if nothing electrical is going to be impacted, then you're allowed to open the door. Chayfet. In order to take out of the car an item. In a place where there's an Eruv and you're allowed to carry. So he's saying that if there's something stuck in a car and you're not activating anything electric at all by opening or closing the door, you'd be allowed to open the car. So what's the background over here? A car is Muktze. Why is a car Muktze?
Because of what it does.
But because you normally use it for something forbidden. What do you normally use it for?
Driving.
Right, now driving, you burn fuel and you close an electrical circuit. So a car is a kli shamalachta le'isa.
But what can you do that's allowed with it?
Well, here, when you need to take something out of the car, yeah, what you're doing is you're moving the car door. The car door is part of a kli shamalachta le'isa. But you're moving it l'tzorech makaymai. Why is it l'tzorech makaymai? Because where it is right now, I cannot put my hand through that. These human beings cannot put our hands through metal. It's just one of those things. If I go boom, yes, I'm going to hurt my thumb and my fingers. So it's in the way. I need the area that it is right now. So it's a kli shamalachta le'isa. It's normally used for something which is forbidden. Yeah? And I'm allowed to move a kli shamalachta le'isa l'tzorech gufay or l'tzorech makaymai. And here it's l'tzorech makaymai because it's in the place. Yes?
Asking a question on the Tzorech Makoimai. What the scenario is that you need to get space, you have to obviously for yourself or lean on the car to get something like that.
Very good. Muktze is only a problem if you move it. Yeah? But if you're leaning on it, it's actually okay. I wouldn't advise it always because you probably end up moving it. But
if you sit, you have to climb over it.
Yeah, it's as long as you don't move it, it's okay. If it's not your car, better watch it. If it's my car, I'll be upset. I might be a little bit, prickly if I see people leaning on my car. Why are you leaning on my car? Okay, so what status have we said a car is then? What type of Muktze? Kli shamalachta le'isa. Would you think there's an argument maybe to say it's a different type of Muktze?
Yeah. If it's like a Lamborghini.
Oh, now you're talking.
Cars expensive generally.
Huh?
Yeah, but let's say you have a Toyota Previa, you don't care.
Do you know how much Toyota Previas cost? They're actually quite
It's
expensive.
true. Yeah. So is a car Muktze v'achmas chisoron kis? Maybe what some of you are suggesting is that, you see, if a car is a kli shamalachta le'isa, it's normally used for burning fuel, for doing electric circuits, then I can open the door if it doesn't activate any electrics. L'tzorech makaymai, because the door is in the way, because I need to get in there. If a car is Muktze machmas chisoron kis, like the surgeon's knife that you're like really careful about, yeah, so then I can't move it. L'tzorech gufay, l'tzorech makaymai. Those are two special leniencies that only apply to a kli shamalachta le'isa, to the type of thing like a pen or like a hammer. Yeah. So it seems to be that a car is not called a Muktze machmas chisoron kis. You know why? Muktze machmas chisoron kis means you only use it for its dedicated function. Yeah? Whereas a car, you sometimes store your stuff in there, and you leave a football in there, and you leave stuff in there over Shabbos, and so it's, Right, yeah. But there was a fellow with a machete on the bridge between Golders Green Road and Hendon. This afternoon, there was a fellow with a proper machete, and they had to have like 10 police officers bring him to the ground. A machete is it's a cross between a knife and a sword.
One time this guy in a van, he pulled up next to us and he pulled out a massive machete because he was honking at us, and we told him we did this thing and he pulled out a massive machete. But then
Oh Hashem, that's scary.
yeah. Scary. You bet. Yeah,
Why was it not scary?
because he was in the car.
He looked like a bit of a...
Schwarzer?
I remember.
No.
I remember that.
I just need to say we always have to speak about them. It's a legitimate question, but I think in many circles it would be considered derogatory to call them that, even though it's just Yiddish for the same word we'd call them in English, but sometimes it's perceived as not nice. So I just feel I just have to. Yeah.
It's on the Dropbox.
Listen, we just have to.
None of the Dropbox.
No, we just have to. I'm always, no one was making a racist joke just now. It was just an expression. But if people say racist jokes, I feel it's inappropriate. I feel it's inappropriate. I don't like them making anti-Semitic jokes either. So Okay, fine. So that's it. So that's the machete, right? To get your sheikhut's knife from the boot of the car. So basically, since you use a car for other stuff as well, so therefore, car is a klisha malachta le'isa, and is not Muktze machmas chisaron kiss. Okay, which means that you would be able to open a door if it didn't activate any electrics, if you needed to get what was in there. Very, very good. And if it's in a place where there's an Eruv. Okay, so now you've opened your car door. Why have you opened your car door? To get to your suit. Now what? It's open. Can you close it? Can you close it?
Close it or lock it? One is
Close it. Even close it. Can you close it now?
It's not sort.
Right. Is it tzarech makayim? Do you need the place anymore? Do you need the place? So let's have a look. Carry on.
After this year, there is no funny.
And regarding closing the door of the car, shalheta. Right. So if in the car there are placed also chafetzim shalheta, permitted items that you want to guard them. So let's say in the car, you've got other permitted items that you want to keep. I often keep my hat in my car, or I might keep. You've got a safe in your car, or you've got your sunglasses in your car, or you've got some other things in your car. Huh? Yeah, machete. So you've got your other things in the car, and you want to guard them. Yeah, you want to guard them. So one minute, let's just think about it. If you want to guard them, so then why would you be allowed to close the door?
Because you can lose that from it, but it's not.
Well, really, I'm allowed to move a muktze item, l'tzorech gufay, if I need it for a positive reason. Just like I'm allowed to move a hammer for the sake of cracking open the nuts, so too I'm allowed to move a car door to close it to protect my hat and my sefer and your machete. Yeah? What I'm doing is now, the reason I can open the car door to get to my things is l'tzorech makoymai, because I want to be in the place where that car door is. The reason why I can close the door is because I want to use the car door l'tzorech gufay. I need to use it. I'm using a hammer to crack my nuts. I'm using a car door to protect my hat and my sefer and your machete.
What if it's something that's muktze, you can't?
Oh, so I can only move it l'tzorech gufay, yeah, for the sake of a permitted action. So let's keep going. Chosemes es hama'avar. Right? Or if the door, it blocks the way of passers-by. If by leaving the door open, it blocks the way of passers-by, so then why am I allowed to move my car door?
To clear the path.
And that's called a tzorech makaymo, because it is I need the place where it is right now, and I can't have everybody bashing into my car door. So I need to move it. Okay.
Yes,
Right, then I'll be allowed to close it. Right, but don't close the door if the whole reason you're closing the door is just to protect your car. Why can't you do that?
Because that's like bringing it
protecting.
Beautiful. That is like moving a Muktze item for the sake of protecting the Muktze item. We saw last week you're allowed to move a kli shemalachta le'isa, like a hammer, like a pen, a kli that's normally used for something forbidden. I'm allowed to move it at tzorech gufay if I need it for a permitted purpose, like cracking open the nuts. I'm allowed to move it l'tzorech mekaymai if I need the place that it's in, but I cannot move it meicham or l'tzeil. I can't move it from the shade from the sun to the shade to protect itself. So if I'm just moving the car door to protect the car, oy al cheftze muktze thank you. Or if I'm closing the door to protect other Muktze items. I've got my laptop in there, or I've got other stuff in there. So then I'm not allowed to move the car because then I'm moving Muktze, and and for the sake of something which is Muktze. Just one final point over here is that he says at the bottom of the box, Shomati Magan of Shlomo Zalman Auerbach Zatzal. I heard from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Reile El, etc. Lamed Aleph, right? Right. The Mutter laha'arim or lahachnis kelim amutorim. I can actually do a shtick. How do you translate doing a shtick? I can do a bit of a trick. I can do a bit of a trick. Thank you. Yeah. And I can put something inside it, which is a permitted item. Right? The mutter laharim, I can do a trick. Or lahachnis kelim hamutorim. I can actually, now that the car door is open, I would like to close it because it's my Lamborghini. Yeah. So I'd like to close it. But it's not in anybody's way, and there's nothing inside that is permitted, so I wouldn't be allowed to close it. So I can put inside a sefer, yeah, or that I'm not intending to use that Shabbos, or something else which is permitted, v'shuv lisker hadeles, and then close the door. Now there is one other way I could close the door. Good, very, very good. I could also close the door with my body. Yeah, and I could close the door with my body. Why? Because we've seen before that Muktze, according to Mishnah Berurah, can always be moved with a shinoi. Not something which is osa. I can't do something osa with a shinoi, right? Something forbidden to do, like a malacha. But Muktze, the whole thing of Muktze, I can't move it, but I can move Muktze with a shinoi. So basically, what has come out, and this is very, very interesting. I think it's very, very interesting because this whole system, it would be exactly the same with a dryer or a washing machine in terms of or a dishwasher in terms of the leaving aside if it was wet when Shabbos came in or if it was on when Shabbos came in. Let's say it wasn't on when Shabbos came in, it was already off when Shabbos came in, and now I just need to open these items to get to something and close these items. So then all these same principles apply. So we have at home a dishwasher that once the timer has finished, there's nothing electric happening there anymore. You just have to sort of push the door in a bit, and then do you know what I mean? You push it in a bit, and then a spring sort of swings it out. So that this dryer is something which is normally used to dry things. They facilitate the cleaning of clothing, cleaning and drying of clothing. It's Muktze. Well, now that it's off, it's still a kli shemalachta le'isa. I normally use it for forbidden things. And now, and now what I'm doing is I can move the door to tzorech gufay if I need my socks, because I don't like going around on Shabbos without socks. I did it once. I had one Shabbos that I went without socks. When my wife just gave birth to a baby, and we were in Watford, and I then needed to walk to the Watford hospital, the Watford shul in the morning. But for some reason, I'd got my socks soaking, and so there was the one Shabbos that I went without socks, 18, 19 years ago. I will remember it. Not for me. Other people's fine, but not for me. But if I need to get my socks from the dryer, so then I can open the door, l'tzorech mekaymai, because the door is in the way. I take out my socks. Yeah? Now I can just leave it open. Or I could close it. I could either close it with a shinoi, or I could close it if I if I don't want everybody to see everything that's going on over there. I don't want all the guests to see it. So it's like tzorech gufay now. I'm moving it back to tzorech gufay. Yes.
But why can't we say that the clothes are wet when Shabbos came in? So then you can't.
Right. If the clothes were wet when Shabbos came in, so then if it was on when Shabbos came in, that could be problematic. If the clothes were still wet when Shabbos came in, I believe it's debated. Some say that if they're already dry enough that you couldn't pass a drop from one thing to another thing, then they're not considered Muktze. And if I remember correctly, if you know they're going to dry by the time Shabbos morning, then some say that it's also going to be okay, even if they are wet, because you know that it's going to be dried later on. But that would be a different topic. Yeah. Yes.
So can you close the car, let's say, using your leg as a shiller instead of having,
Yes.
even if no most of things.
If there are no Muktze things inside your Lamborghini, yeah, you can either, if there are no permitted things inside your Lamborghini, so then either you can, Rav Shlomo Zalman says you can put some Muktze things inside, some non-Muktze things inside there and then close it, or you can close it with the shinoi, but careful not to scratch it. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Right.
about locking? What about the reason we gave about people passing by? Yeah. So just by closing it, when decided on passing by, but would you be able to lock it then?
Right. So would you be allowed to lock it? So assuming nowadays that it's probably going to activate something electric by locking it, so you wouldn't be allowed to. And you shouldn't even really use a shinoi for it either. You could get a non-Jew to. If it's like a big loss, you're very scared, then you get a non-Jew to.
I saw someone last week ask some guy to get his talis from his car.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's very, very good.
So
That's
you
very,
have to
very
ask
good.
them directly.
Maybe
Well,
that's
you're allowed
the
to ask a
next
non-Jew
one,
to get a talis from your car directly. I'll tell you why. Because you're not asking them to do a malacha. You're asking them to do something permitted, to open a car door. It's a psik reisha. It's halachic inevitability that a light will go on. And Amir La'akum, a psik reisha is okay. Yeah. Okay, just one final thing over here is that... okay, we don't have time for that final thing. We'll take 2 minutes of just general questions. If I might be able to answer, I might not be able to. We'll do 2 minutes of general questions. Yeah, it could be a halacha, it could be a non-halachic thing. I'll try.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Dovid, you asked the first question.
No, you asked the first question. I need to think of a question.
Is anything what we said today a reason why you may object to with all the shinos and everything and all maybe the loopholes with that? Could you say that the whole thing is not in the spirit of Shabbos?
Very, very nice.
Anyone who objects by saying it's not
Very, very nice. So there are some things where Chazal, they made a decree only under these circumstances. So if it's not under those circumstances, it's fine for me to do. And it would not be a problem of sort of spirit of Shabbos. Yeah? But there are other things where it may be a problem that is not in the spirit of Shabbos. So each particular case, it's like on a case-by-case situation as to whether that is in the spirit of Shabbos or not.
Could you give an example?
Yeah. Well, firstly, this idea that anything Muktze I can move with my body, yeah, the Chazon Ish disagrees with. The Mishnah Berurah says you can. Chazon Ish disagrees with. So I tell people that means if you need to move Muktze with your body, then you can. But you shouldn't just generally go about doing so. Yeah. But it's a case by case. An Eruv, some people say it's not in the spirit of Shabbos. I disagree with them completely. Chazal made the takana. If there's no Eruv, you can't carry. If there is an Eruv, then you can carry. Each case, it's a case by case discussion.
Expensive watches, they work a lot of them. They work on batteries. They work on if you move it around, then it's gonna work.
Right, automatic watches.
Automatic. So if you wear automatic watch, it's like a problem of making the.
Very, very good. So on my shul website, BHNY, Beis Hamikdash Nishmas Yisrael, I've got a series of 10-minute halacha shiurim, and one of those is about, if you go into the archive of Hilchot Shabbos, one of those about wearing automatic watches on Shabbos. The mainstream opinion is that as long as it was already working when Shabbos came in, yeah, not just 2 minutes, but it had charge in it when Shabbos came in. So it's got charge, it could last you through the day, could easily last you through the day, even if you wouldn't be moving with it. So then by you doing your own thing with it, you're not specifically trying to keep the charge or anything, you're just going about you're just learning, and so the mainstream, it is debated, but the mainstream is as long as it was fully charged when Shabbos came in, then you can continue to wear it on Shabbos. Some are makpid, if it's a 3-day Yom Tov and it only keeps charged for 1 day or 2 days, some people would be machmir and wouldn't wear it beyond the time where that it already had charged for.
Is someone allowed to, let's say, go do something that it's not really covered Shabbos, like let's say go on a run or go let's say play football. Let's say it's a Yom Tov, so you can have a shower like that night or something.
Okay, so each of these things is a separate halachic discussion. In terms of going on runs, there's a halacha about doing exercise on Shabbos, having kavanah for exercise. If it's something that people don't notice that it's exercise, like speed walking, you'll see me half of Shabbos just going up and down Golders Green Road because I live quite far away from my shul, so I'm often anyway speed walking. If you're doing it for the sake of exercise, it's not noticeable. You're doing it to the same. If you're doing it if you're speed walking, since many people don't do that as an exercise, it's not noticeable it's being done as an exercise. You could do that, but a full-blown jog, generally not. In terms of showers on Shabbos, so again, one of these 10-minute halachos is, can you have a cold shower on Shabbos? If you have nothing electric at all in your pump, in your boil, nothing, and you're really mitzta'er, you really feel yuck, technically you could have a cold shower on Shabbos, but terms and conditions apply. But each one of these is like people think that a lot of stuff is just general covered Shabbos, but actually each one is like its own individual thing. Anyone learn anything today?
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to learn Torah with you. Kol tov Rabbi Sai.